What a difference a week makes. Welcome to episode 13 of Do You Know the Score? Unlucky for some. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Gavin.
And yeah, let's talk football like we do every time on this show for all the fun in the world. That was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah. I mean, there's lots of action, lots of goals, lots of things to talk about. My thinking is, right, we're about a third of the way through the season now. I think this could be a good opportunity just to reassess the European spots, the top 6, top 4, relegation, just have a discussion on that and kind of use this weekend's games as a springboard for that. How do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Predictably unpredictable. Let's go for it. Well, for me personally, I don't exactly remember what my picks were. I don't imagine you do either, really. I think we remember bits and bobs, but
bits.
I still think that the top 4. Are we going 6 actually? Because we included the 2 European spots last time, didn't we?
Kind of. We had a discussion on the forum and said, "All right, who's going to fill up the rest of the spots?" More like that. So.
Well, let's do that again then. So okay. I still think Manchester City are going to do it. I still think they've got the minerals to carry it on. Even in games like the one on Sunday, I you know what? I came away from it more just frustrated that we managed to sort of like Sideshow Bob walking around on those rakes in The Simpsons, you know?
Sure.
We sort of did that to ourselves more than anything else. You know, not to take away from Chelsea, but we'll talk about it in a little bit in more detail. But that's how thing. I don't see that as like anything that we've done is necessarily as inconsistent as everyone else. People are really peaks and troughing. I don't think we're peaks and troughing. I think we're kind of at like a steady plateau, and yeah, I just form wise and everything like that. I just think that we're gonna cross the finish line still at first. Second, now I'm gonna say I think that Liverpool are gonna leapfrog Arsenal now. I think I had Arsenal second.
I think we both did. Yeah.
I think we both did. We might have done, but old list doesn't matter, as we said.
No.
I think Liverpool are starting to show form. I think Liverpool are starting to show form now. I think Liverpool are starting to really start to tick under this new. We talked about it a few times on the podcast. This new kind of approach that Klopp's putting on, and yeah, I really am impressed with the way that Liverpool are going forward. I know that we've made jokes about Darwin Núñez being a bit haphazard.
Hit and miss. Hit and miss.
Hit and miss.
A lot of miss.
But he's also he's creating when he's if he's missing, at least he's putting in an effort to try and create for the other two on the other side, which you know, you can't say for many other strikers. Like there are strikers in the league right now who have talented left and right wingers or left and right forwards with them, and they're not sort of bringing them into the fold, sort of thing. You can see it in certain teams. So Van Dijk's starting to look good again. Matip's looking good. I think your midfield's outstanding. And yeah, like I said, apart from something torrid happening to you, like unless something Spursy happens to you, I don't see you not pushing on from the momentum on this. I think that's good. It's going to be Man City 1, Liverpool 2, third, Arsenal.
Right.
And fourth now becomes a difficult one because fourth now is very cut and dry. It seemed that we've got like it looked like we were starting to form a top 4.
Sure.
And then, you know, Spurs have dropped off. Brighton have kind of dropped off. Newcastle have dropped off a bit. United are starting to string some sort of semblance of, at least in the league, some sort of semblance of form. I mean, they haven't, to be fair, they haven't lost a game in 5. And they haven't lost a game in 5, and yet people are still dogging on them. We dog on them.
Yeah.
A lot of our dogging is because of who we support.
Possibly.
Probably. But realistically, they're starting to sort of work something out even through all the mud and the muck that goes on around the club. They're doing particularly well. So I find it difficult. Also, Chelsea, I don't know. Do they look like? Am I wrong in thinking that they're starting to look like a team that have figured out some sort of chemistry and plan? Because we came away from the Spurs game going, well, of course they should have put 4 past them. Worst hat trick, terrible performance, really. But they won the game. They go to the game at Stamford Bridge against Man City, and it's like playing a unit of Chelsea back in the Mourinho days, like that level of intensity, that level of cohesion.
How about I put this to you about Chelsea? To me, when they first started, it felt like I'm going to use some analogies here. Make them up on the spot. Imagine a guy is by his wardrobe. He's got a massive walking wardrobe, and he sees all these clothes. And what I saw of Chelsea at the beginning of the season was he had every piece of clothing known to man, the most expensive clothing in the world. He just didn't know how to put it on. This dude had socks on his head. His shorts were around his arm. He put a jacket on his feet. He had no idea. He had all the right clothing, but nowhere near. Now they're looking a little bit more organized. The trousers are still on backwards, right? He's not buttoned his shirt up properly, and he's wearing his hat wrong. It's getting better, but at least now he's got the right clothing in the right place, and that's how it seems for Chelsea. For me, they had all the ingredients. It's now starting to come together, which seems very dangerous, especially going forward. I know I gave Nicholas Jackson a load of grief last week,
and rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I thought he played a little bit better today. This weekend, just gone now. So I think credit to him for a slightly better performance. He's still not anywhere near as good as like Erling Haaland or anything, but at least he's showing a little bit more about him. But that's how I see Chelsea.
But for me, like, are Chelsea going to make 10 points? Because it's 10 points between them currently in 10th and Spurs in 4th. Are Spurs going to? I think Spurs are going to drop now, but are they going to drop 10 points? And are Chelsea going to gain 10 points from this? Do you think? I mean,
I'd be unsure of that, but that would be where I think the discussion. We can come back to it 2/3 of the way through the season and have another look at this. See if that happens. It feels difficult to predict that would happen, but if any team has got momentum, in improving a lot, it seems to me Chelsea's the most likely of those mid-table teams to go forward.
Yeah.
Like we said about United, they've strung wins together, but as we've said away from this, most of the time it's those scrappy 1-0 wins, which when you're a title challenging team, as you've been for the longest time now, that's how you do it. When you play badly, you still scrape out a win because you can then bank on those big wins. But the thing with United is they either lose or they've got those scrappy wins. That's the difference. So although yes, when you play badly you still win, that's good. You've then got to the other times really perform, and I think that's where United haven't quite shown that yet. Whereas I feel that Chelsea have shown glimmers of that every now and again.
But I can see United now scraping into this top 4 conversation because they seem to have they're not injury ravaged. They've also got 19 first team injuries. I think both Rasmus Højlund and Christian Eriksen are now out on injury. They've pulled out of Denmark international duty at least.
Right.
Severity of set injuries, I've not seen anything other than they're just pulled out of those in the international games, basically. So they're out of international week, whether it's just they've got a knock or they need a rest or whatever. But if they can get all this whole squad that they've got missing, if they could bring that back in and just keep grinding out these 1-0 victories and just doing what they need to do to just survive, basically. I can see them sneaking into at least into the top 4, probably 4th at a max. I think my top 3 will eclipse them and will go. It'll be impossible for them to catch up to them, basically. But I do see them being in and around the conversation of 4th as, top of the pile of what they can do. But then, there's a Europa League space for them. Guaranteed, I think, this season. So I'm probably going to put them 5th. My 4th pick, I just don't know. It's too hard at the minute because the variables are now in there, aren't they? These things that we've talked about for the last 12 weeks, where we've sort of said, well, if this team can maintain this, if this team doesn't lose that, and every team, I mean, like Newcastle, for example, they've got quite a bad record at the minute. They've got 2 draws, 2 wins, 1 loss in the league. And since PSG, they've been battered in the Champions League as well.
Did you see what Kieran Trippier had a conversation with a fan about, though?
No.
You haven't seen that one?
No.
Oh, there's some fan in the stand got a video of the Newcastle game at the weekend in Bournemouth, and it finished. Obviously, Newcastle lost, and the fans, the away fans, were giving them a lot of grief and screaming, shouting at them. And Trippier thought it was the appropriate thing to do to go over and say hello, as it were, and start having an argument with the Newcastle fans and saying, have you seen how many injuries we've got? So they're saying, he said, do you not think we're trying our best? Have you not seen the injuries we've got? So sure. I think there might be something in that. Going on something you said then about can they maintain, whichever team it is, can they maintain? The word that we can also use is consistency, right? City are showing consistency. I think Liverpool and Arsenal are showing consistency. I think we can both agree Spurs aren't showing the same amount of consistency. I don't think. Chelsea and United, as we've said, inconsistent. Newcastle obviously inconsistent. There is one team in and around the mix that is showing consistency, and that's the one that you chose as your dark horse. Villa, I think they're a good, strong shout for 4th place. Strong shout at the moment. They're the only team outside of the top 3 that have shown the same level all the way across. They've not been world beaters, they've not been bad, but they've been there. They're staying there.
I mean, form-wise, they're up there with with City, with Liverpool and Arsenal. Also, all of them have got something like 3 wins, a draw, and a loss. It's kind of like the same sort of form record over the last 5 games.
Yeah.
So, but I think you don't put Villa in your head when you start talking about this stuff because they haven't been in and around it for so long.
Yeah.
But you're totally right. You are totally right. It is definitely up for conversation. I just don't know if they'll be able to make it to 4th all the way through.
I know what you're saying, but with 12 games in, they've not shown why not. Other teams have shown evidence of why not. They've not.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the table here, they've got 8 wins like everyone other than Man City. Man City, the only team with 9.
Yeah.
Every other team, 5 up to 2, have all got 8 wins. There's just their losses and draws. So it's margins, isn't it?
Exactly.
That we're talking about here. I don't expect Arsenal to be in and around Aston Villa to be in and around the conversation. So I don't think about Aston Villa being in and around the conversation.
I mean, so you did call them you called them as dark horses, though.
I did, but that was because we were going off kind of what the best sort of springboard from the season before would have been.
Sure.
And they've just not really, like I said, they've just not been on your mind. But I mean, I Brighton are also not a team to. This is a difficult conversation here because what the thing that I've been mocking for so long in this podcast as well about this idea of it being just a farmers league and it's just a 1-horse race, it's all that sort of stuff. Listen to this conversation, my guys. Like, just listen. Like all this stuff that we're talking about, and you're going. I've said I think there's a cert 3, but then 5 down to probably 10, God knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of that's important because those teams, like a 4 down to 10, they're the teams that are going to take points off us. They're going to take points off Liverpool, and they're going to take points off Arsenal. They're going to make this incredibly interesting season coming forward. I just see it as being something that's going to be it's going to be down to the wire, and it's going to be quite a tight knuckled kind of thing. It's going to be an exciting run regardless.
For sure.
But yeah, do I have to pick a fourth, or did I did I sort of like waffle on enough there to blag you forgetting that I didn't make a fourth?
This is just a discussion. This isn't like a also those soccer shows that they have, Soccer Sunday, and I can't remember what they're called now. Social something.
The Saturday Social.
That's the one
with 2 plebs and a bunch of YouTubers.
Yeah,
available by the way.
Yeah, bring us on. Do
you know the score at gmail.com? Sky, if you want, if you want 2 people that really don't know what they're talking about, we're here for you.
But what I'm saying is, it's not something like that where we're going to put up the graphics of what you've chosen and hold you to it and whatever, right? So this is
you are allowed to change your opinion based on the variables that come forward.
Exactly. That's very true. Very true. Yeah, I mean, we Liverpool beat Brentford quite comfortably, but I still like them. They're another team that I think could challenge for those lower European spots as well. In there with Brighton, Newcastle. I mean, for me, I agree with you. The top 3. I don't know whether we're going to pull away from Arsenal. I still like what Arteta's doing there and the players they've got, and if luck goes their way a bit more than it has done recently, with some decisions, I think they would be the ones to challenge City. Even though I would love it to be Liverpool, of course I would. I'm not sure about us. Like we've meant, Virgil's playing well at the moment. But what if he slips back into one of those form things? He's shown evidence this season that can happen. The midfield 3, when we've got those 3 new signings, we look great. We really do. But I'm not convinced by Endo yet. If we have to swap 1 or 2 out, like we've been doing recently, we're not as solid as we saw in the Europa League. When we have to mix things up. We need, my other concern is at left back. We need to get Robertson back. I think Costa Tsimikas is a good player, but he's not a starting left back. He's a utility player. So we have weaknesses in certain areas. That's why I think that Arsenal might just pull ahead of us for the season. 4th, I would put Villa myself right now. And then the other European spots, I think it'll be a fight between Spurs, Brighton as well. I think they're going to be there. Newcastle, they're going to be hanging around, in my opinion. And I think Chelsea, those are the ones. I don't think any others will fight for European spots, just based on what they've shown so far this season. I could be wrong. Let's see what it's like after Christmas. I'm happy to be proven wrong, change my opinion. As you've seen, I already have done that. But right now, based off what I've seen from the beginning of the season to now, that's how I see it myself.
You can't even toss United a slight scrap off the table, can you?
I will when they show me something.
6th in the league. 6th in the league.
Yeah.
4 wins from the last 5 games, and the what? Look, they're not the Galacticos. They're not the greatest football team in the world, but they're sticking around like the bad smell that they are.
The great coach Brian Clough once said, "We had an amazing team on paper. The problem is the game was played on grass." Right? United have come up with some 1-0s that show on paper that they're in 6th. However, the game is played on grass. On the evidence of how they've played up to now, I don't see evidence that they can then keep pushing on. Whereas a team like Villa have shown consistency. A team like Chelsea have shown how they're gradually getting better game by game and not just fluking or grinding out a 1-0 win. That's why.
This is a man, though, that did punch a clown. So
Brian Clough did punch a clown.
Let's be real. In front of the world, punched this clown. So even though he is probably the greatest manager of all time.
I think so. I would definitely say so. Myself.
I'd say he should be in more conversations about greatest managers of all time personally, but
yeah, I mean, that could be another conversation we have for another time, but yeah, that
done. Episode over. Thank
you. So that's the top part of the table. I think let's jump down. End. I think that's a lot more straightforward myself. I think Burnley and Sheffield should already start looking at away fixtures, hotels and stuff in the Championship next year.
Yeah. I think Burnley were they were a team that I genuinely at the beginning of the season put a bit of stock into. Maybe I had my Vincent Kompany blinkers on. Maybe. But I thought the way that they took the Championship by storm last season would translate a bit better into the Premier League than what it has. I'm not saying that they would have gone, much past the relegation zone, but they just look beaten. They look battered. They look bruised. They look like they just aren't cut out for this. Kompany doesn't necessarily look cut out for this.
Sure.
Sheffield United, again, they look like the same type of team. They look like they've got nothing left in the tank. Luton at least showing fight. They managed to grind out a draw with you guys. When they played Manchester United, they weren't completely out of the game. They were overwhelmed more than they weren't, but they were still incredibly incredibly steadfast, is still in it. Bournemouth are looking a bit weak as well. Fulham are bereft of ideas, and Everton are potentially going to get a 12-point sanction at some point, maybe this season, maybe next, who knows? But if they don't get that 12 points, I don't see them in this conversation at all.
I think they've got more sights on the top 10. They're only, as of recording right now, they're only 2 points off the top 10. Which I think is an amazing achievement for them, what they've done this season. It shows the potential that I felt they had after the first couple of games, where I was saying, although they're not getting the results, the on paper bit, they're showing something that can progress. The opposite of what I'm saying about United. This is a team that shows some organization, some spirit, defensively pretty sound early on, and they just needed to fix the whole thing, which they seem to have done. Now, you say about the 12 points. Let's hypothetically take that off them now. That will put them on 2 points with only a third of the season gone. Puts them 2 points behind Burnley, but only 4 points behind Luton.
Yeah,
with the way they're playing, I think they can overtake a 4-point, go 4 points ahead and go ahead of Luton. I really do.
So what you're saying is we should give them the 12-point deduction and see how good Sean Dyche really is.
I think that's what's going to happen, and I think we will see how good he is. And I think he's good enough to, even with a 12-point deduction, I don't think Everton are going to get relegated. I'll go for that. I think it's going to be Burnley and Sheffield going down, and one of Bournemouth or Luton. And it might be the comfortable choice based off the table as of today, but that's how it seems to me. Those are the teams. More likely Luton and Bournemouth, unfortunately. The Luton dream story of that stadium in the Premier League and all that stuff. But they did really well against Liverpool. I think it was more that they held on. They got themselves in front, of course, and played pretty well. So they're not a bad. I don't think there's any bad teams in this league. I really don't. There's teams that are cut out for it and some that are not.
Yeah, and I can't disagree with that. I think that's probably the three that I think will go down as well. I think we're just going to have a yo-yo from the Championship, really, because none of the teams have managed to strengthen.
No.
Really, like they've Sheffield United had a lot of loanees during that season in the Championship, and they all went back to their clubs, and then they couldn't really reinvest because we're not allowed to do that anymore.
Sure.
So if you're a smaller team coming in, I'm sorry, the powers that be pulled up the drawbridge on you.
Yeah, true.
Which is is I think that's kind of garbage, but again, we can talk about that in another podcast as well if you want. Because I got some thoughts.
Sure. I'm sure you do.
I do.
Speaking of having thoughts, as I know, right? And another one of those, one of those, as of recording. So this weekend that we're recording this is the weekend where we had, or am I going to pose the question? Did we have one of, if not the greatest Premier League match of all time in the Chelsea City game?
Not watching it, no. Yes, we did. We had a really good gutsy game. I thought tactically it was brilliant. I thought effort-wise it was brilliant. It had drama, it had brilliant goals, it had fluky goals, it had penalties, it had controversy, it had stories in it of ex-players coming back and getting stuck in, showing why they should not have been sold in the first place. It was it was absolutely magnificent game. And I remember, like, my partner Anna said to me, like, after the game, she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, you had this aura of tenseness about you the whole game, and I've not seen you feel like that for years, because obviously, like I've also said on this show, like I just haven't really cared that as much as deeply this season after winning the treble. I kind of I've gone into this season going, but yeah, during that game, I felt it again.
Sure.
It took me a jaded. I became fairly jaded and fairly just like, well, done it all now. It doesn't matter if don't carry it on, sort of thing. This year, it doesn't really matter as long as we go next year. Fine. But yeah, it really did. I thought that there was a lot of positive stuff shown from Chelsea as well. The systems that were brought in by both managers, both Poch and Pep, I thought were fantastic at counteracting what each team wanted to do in the midfield. There was when you've got Rodri misplacing passes because of the amount of pressure he's put under, you're doing something right, as a manager in this league. Like, let's be fair, because like I've said a bunch of times, he's like the heartbeat of this team.
Sure. And
he never seems to buckle under pressure. But the second Rodri had the ball, there was 2 Chelsea players darting, and Conor Gallagher was on him. One of the wing backs thing. It might have been Reece James, actually. Were just tearing him apart. They managed to cancel out Jeremy Doku brilliantly, I thought. I honestly felt when he took Doku off and he brought Grealish on, at first I was a bit like, oh, I don't know about this decision. Like, we need that, driving pace on the wing sort of thing. But then when I saw how controlling Jack was and how much better he was at tracking back and how much better he was at just playing the system that City want to incorporate, I felt more comfortable.
Sure.
I felt that defensively we were exposed a bit with Gvardiol in particular. He's been having a very up and down season, but again, it's first season with Pep syndrome. Not everyone hits the ground running. I think I can honestly think Erling Haaland is the only player who's ever hit the ground running in a Pep Guardiola team at Man City. Everyone else has at least had to have a season of working it out.
I think
at least one season.
Yeah, I see that, but I think everyone else has had the added issue of trying to fit in with the system. Whereas with Haaland, it was more, you stay there and we'll do this for you. The team kind of played around him rather than him having to adjust to them.
I disagree, because I find that Haaland adapts when he's not, when that idea of you just stand there and we funnel it to you doesn't work, when a team is smart enough to cut out the passing lanes and not worry about that, when he gets the ball, then he creates that game when we beat, was it Bournemouth we beat 6-1 last week? When we beat them, he didn't score, but he set up 3 or 4 of them. So he's in the role, he's in the mode as well, and he was doing that last year as well.
Yeah, and he played that
a few months,
but he played that way for Dortmund as well. That was his game. So what I'm saying is he didn't have to adjust any of his game. He plays that way, or played that way, and that was how excuse me, that's how Pep wanted him to set up. So there was no adjustment needed for him. He just played his natural game, is what I'm saying. Not that he's a stat padding tapping merchant that people call him. He has a lot more to his game than that, and always has done.
Can I say something on that? I want to say something about that, right? There have been idiots online and I'll call them idiots online for years. Like people who play football charity matches on YouTube, or people that call into Talk Sport, or even ex-pros and all this kind of stuff, right? Who all think I'd have banged in 20 with this Man City squad. Now, you're talking absolute doo-doo. We don't swear on this podcast. Doo-doo. Because there's a skill in doing what he does. Sure. To read the game, to work out when the defender's going to go to sleep, to where he needs to be for that tapping. And let's call this back. I don't mean this to be derogatory towards your boy, right? Darwin Núñez misses on the plate sitters way more than Erling Haaland does. Nicholas Jackson misses sitters. Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, right? I can name many players, and some of the players I mentioned played for Man City, played in this system, had these things on a plate in the same way that Haaland does. But Haaland gets into the better position, has the better quality of touch, better placement. He knows what he's doing, and it's more than just he's a tap-in merchant. They do the same with Bruno Fernandes when people call him Fernandes, right? A penalty against a Premier League goalkeeper in a stadium with the world watching you is way harder than you scoring your Sunday league penalty.
Yeah.
These things that these players do that they become renowned for, there's a reason why they're renowned for it.
Sure.
And it's because they're the best in class at doing that particular skill. And then they build, systems and formats around it. Also, Haaland has been scoring from outside the box recently. So there's more to the game. There's more to his game than just that.
I didn't mean to prod you on that one, by the way.
It just infuriates me when you hear these like morons online talking about this stuff. And it boggles my mind.
I find it funny, which is why I thought I'd throw it in like that. But I didn't realize
do this a lot to me today.
I didn't realize I was going to wind you up like that.
Oh, I'm amped. You mentioned Chelsea.
All right. Well, now you're amped. What about those ex-players for City that were playing for Chelsea? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, for one of them, I wish you'd have shown even half of this level of decisiveness, even half of this level of composure playing for us.
Is it Raheem? Is that what you're talking about?
T-Rex running full. No, but seriously, Raheem Sterling, that's the player that we spent 50 million on. That's the player that people looked at and went, when he was playing with Sturridge and Suarez. When he was doing that, when he was doing that, and you guys even said at the time, I remember Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, congratulations, you're going to get an inconsistent player here."
Yeah.
But it was those moments where he played like that, where you were like, "This is the guy."
Yeah.
And against us, he decided, "I'm gonna prove a point." Cole Palmer, same thing. And the narrative that went around Sky and has gone on TalkSport and gone online and everything like that is this idea of we were stupid for letting these players go. We let those players go because they asked to leave.
Sure.
We let those players go because at Man City, there is a structure, and and Pep wants every single player in that team to want to fight for their place. And if you don't fight for your place, and you don't want to put the effort in, and you don't want to be a player that has to fight for their place, and you're not happy with that, there's a door there. We'll see you later.
That's the reason why you shocked the world when Cancelo, or is it Cancelo? Cancelo?
Yeah, Cancelo. I don't know.
Cancelo got moved on.
Yeah,
no one expected that.
No one expected that, and people were sort of gobsmacked by it. But at the same time, he didn't want to do what he was asked to do. Didn't want to do the job. Well, then you don't have to be here and do the job. Then go somewhere else and don't do the job.
Yeah.
Leroy Sané was the same. He didn't want to do it. These guys want to have this kind of like divine right of, I've earned my spot of being first choice. And I don't think that that's a healthy mindset. And I doubt that Klopp would take that or tolerate that at Liverpool. I doubt Arteta does at Arsenal. I doubt that Wenger did. I doubt that Mourinho did. I doubt that Ferguson did. I doubt that Clough did. I doubt that any manager worth their salt who doesn't have to be in this kind of like one of these teams that's a commercial bubble rather than a football club, would accept that. And for me, like, Cole Palmer's celebration sort of said it all as to why I think Pep, the thing that Pep knew about him going out, because I at first was like, there's this thing with Man City fans. I can't speak for all of them, but I think from the ones that I've spoken to and I'm friends with and stuff, we sort of want that homegrown talent. Yeah,
sure.
I know we've got that with Foden, but you want more homegrown talent, because you want to shut people up who say things like class of 92 at you. And even though that's not entirely right either, but it's not a say. But you want a few of them, right? Tommy Doyle was supposed to be one. He was the son of a legacy player as well. Like, so you wanted him to do well, but he didn't want to stick around and work. So, all right, off you go. Cole Palmer's another one, right? But then to score the winning penalty, and then on one hand, do your little celebration of no, respect, it's my former club, but then also do that smug kind of, I told you so face. Like, sorry, pal. There's a reason why we sold you. This is why you're Chelsea's problem now.
Sure.
And Raheem did the same thing as well. He ran off and did his, no, let's not celebrate thing, whilst also doing a little cocky smile and a little like, and I was just like, you know what, right? This team gave you these springboards. If you want to disrespect that, you disrespect that. Don't expect every player who's used to play for a team to, like, I rated it when Adebayor ran halfway across the Etihad and he slid in front of Arsenal fans, right? I rated that. But I could, if there was an Arsenal fan on a show like this at that time, ranting like this, I'd also understand why he feels like that.
For sure.
And it's a little bit like frustrating, because why didn't you show that when you played for us? Because you can clearly do it.
Yeah.
So it feels to me more like less, look at what you gave up, and more like, look at what you gave up. You gave up someone who chose when he decided to come to work, who chose when he was going to be at the elite level. Because he does. Because we were also saying on this show over the last 12 weeks, how does Cole Palmer fit in Chelsea? Because he hasn't shown it with all these other teams. Raheem Sterling, can he lead the line at Chelsea? Hasn't shown it. Playing for all these other teams. Comes up against Man City. Suddenly there's a rocket up their bums and they're just going for it, and they're playing at the peak, their top skill sets.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating for me watching this, because I was turning to my partner the whole time and going, why do they do this for us?
It all added to the narrative of such a great game.
Yeah,
it had even more of those little storylines. One of the other storylines that it had for me was the referee, and it was Anthony Taylor, right? And Anthony Taylor has just come back from a punishment. A couple of weeks ago, he did something which was frowned upon. It was a decision he made. It was a wrong decision or something. You know, referees getting decisions wrong happens all the time. He got punished for it, and he's just come back. Now, that punishment kind of irked me a little bit. I just want to quickly address it. And he's not the only one. He was demoted, and put that in inverted commas there. He was demoted to the championship as a punishment. So the powers that be, what they're saying there is, you're not good enough for the Premier League. Your mistake means that we don't want you in the Premier League. We will give you to the Championship. Why do the Championship deserve that then? If it's a referee that can't do it, is that the punishment? Who are we not punishing the Championship by doing that then? I think if a referee is having issues with these decisions, or whatever, have him have a week off where he can go into, is it Stockley Park it's called, where the VAR is, and have instruction from, these ex-referees that they bring out, the PGML bring out to pontificate to us. Get them to talk to them through the game and show them this is why we do this, and in this position we need you to do that, and that's why this is that, and that's why that's not that, so that they can learn. And once they've done that once or twice or whatever, and they can get signed off by these refereeing gurus that we have, and they say that they are fit for purpose and come back, then bring them back, and that should be top to bottom. We shouldn't be punishing, as it well, in their opinion, these referees by putting them in lower divisions, because that's not good enough. And by the way, I'm fairly sure I'm right in saying that Anthony Taylor last weekend, when he was in the Championship, had an absolute howler there as well, where there was honestly, look it up. There was a penalty shout. I can't remember the Championship game where it wasn't really a penalty. There was no real contact, but the guy went down. Now, if it's denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, it's a red card, double jeopardy, penalty and a red card. If it's not, it's just the penalty. Anthony Taylor went bang in the middle. It was a dodgy penalty call, and then he yellow carded the dude. If you're going to give a card, according to the rules, it's a red. So he messing up. And yet that was his punishment, and they brought him back to referee what ended up being the biggest game of the weekend. It's puzzling.
That's madness. I saw his head when everyone was coming out, and I'm like, I recognize him. And I quickly did a quick Google, and I was like, Anthony Taylor. And I sent it to you, didn't I? Anthony Taylor, ... And you were like, really? I was like, oh, God, yeah. But yeah, it's not the Championship's fault. They don't deserve him.
Yeah.
Send him on training.
Right.
Do something,
exactly.
right? Do something productive. This is part and parcel of it. Like, they need retrailing. Don't defund them. Train them. Fund them more. But spend the money wisely, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything was too contentious, though, during that game. Really, I didn't really kick off with anything. I know there's we had a bit of banter over messages about it and stuff.
I like a good wind up.
Yeah, I can tell. God, your pity party during Liverpool game as well was pretty something.
For those watching and listening, what happened was, it was during the when Cucurella got fouled by Haaland for him to get into position to then dive for the penalty. That was the discussion we were having about pulling the shirts.
Gavin, and then there are alternative facts, aren't there?
Well, I mean, the facts were that they were pulling each other's shirts for quite some time beforehand, and then Haaland was the one who went, "I'll go," and then fell over. So
Haaland went, "I'm bigger," and then just moved forward, and Cucurella went, "Oh, you're bigger." Grab him. They fell over. It's a pen.
So you're thinking that Cucurella's big and strong enough to pull that lump down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because your body weight shifts. Science.
Right. Science.
Okay. I mean, there was one thing that I saw that was really funny. Was like, when Thiago Silva scored his goal.
Yeah.
Cucurella had his arms around Rodri, right? And I don't mean in like he shouldn't have had his arms around Rodri kind of way. I'm just saying like in a defender defending a corner like we've seen a billion times. Foul further up the pitch, not foul in the box kind of hands around, right? And the part into the Red Sea happens in the defense like it normally does, and everyone starts scrambling to try and get the header. And he just walks Rodri away. just walks him off. And Roger goes, "Oh, we're going this way," and which gave up all the space for Thiago Silva. But like, I've seen people online saying that was a foul because referees are so ill-trained, and referees have made so many bonehead mistakes and given away so many weak source penalties. Like, for example, the one that we got against United. That we basically have every little tiny minutia of stupid stuff that like these incidental fouls that now everyone just kind of like overly focuses onto.
Sure.
Treating, like we've kicked off about in the time, treating every situation like it's the same thing. But there are degrees to this stuff. There's levels. Tiramisu is a fantastic dessert because it's multiple levels. It's layers. Yeah. You need layers in this world, my boys and girls. You do.
I'm the metaphor guy. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just really good at this. And that was off the top of my head as well.
Nice. Right. So you've just mentioned something there, Thiago Silva's goal. I'm going to use that as a segue to the next section. What was special about that goal? What was unique? What was different about that?
Oldest person to score a goal in the Premier League.
Is that a guess or did you know?
Yeah. It's a guess because he's ancient.
He's 39. There's one other player to have scored when they were 39. Who was that?
James Milner.
No. He's not 39 yet.
Is he not? He's been around for decades. I thought he was in his 70s.
What country is this shirt from?
Wales. Gareth Bale?
No. Old. 39.
Oh, sorry. 39. Welsh player. Giggs?
Giggs.
Ah.
Giggs and Silva, the only 39-year-olds to have scored in the Premier League, which brings me nicely on to the next segment of the I'm Challenging You. Gavin Challenges Jordan. It's going to be some Premier League trivia.
Is this just revenge for me spawning this on you two episodes ago?
So we're going to do it now. So that's a taster for the kind of questions we're going to have. They're not ridiculously difficult questions, but there's some interesting facts. Let's put it that way. So let's start off nice and simple. The first one. So the Premier League is just Premier League, by the way, just Premier League.
I'm going to get this wrong, aren't I?
I mean, no. The joke is that football didn't exist before the Premier League. You know, Gary Lineker never played at any high level, for example.
Never heard of him. Never heard of him. What's he done?
But for the purpose of this particular quiz, it's purely Premier League. So Man United have won it the most times.
They have.
The first question is twofold. How many other teams have won it? And please name them.
What, the Premier League in general?
The Premier League. Just the Prem.
Blackburn Rovers.
Yes.
Leicester City.
Yes.
I went for the two ones that people go, oh, who's the others?
Yep.
Arsenal.
Yep.
Liverpool.
Yep.
Chelsea.
Yep.
And the mighty Man City. And is there another?
I mentioned them myself.
Manchester United.
There it is. So how many's that?
8.
7.
I didn't see how many fingers you had up. And I wasn't counting what I did either.
That's fine. That's fine. So United have won it the most with 13. Who's won it the next most? These are just incidental questions.
Who's won it the next most?
Yeah, 13 for United.
Is it Chelsea?
I thought it would be Chelsea with 5, but it's not. City with 7. 7.
Oh, we're really good, aren't we?
Then Arsenal with 3, and then Liverpool, Blackburn, and Leicester have all got 1. So the next question. We're talking home wins in the Premier League. What is the record scoreline? The highest win, home win. What's the number?
Are you asking for the score of the game or by how many games? How many goals?
The score of the game.
Is it 9 something? And isn't it a Liverpool game that happened in?
You sort of got that right. Something. I'm going to need something other than something. 9 what?
1.
No.
2.
0.
9-0.
9-0. So you got 9 right and you got Liverpool right. So there are 3 teams that have won 9-0. The most recent was Liverpool-Bournemouth in 2022, 9-0. United beat Southampton in 2021. And then United beat Ipswich in 95, 9-1. Okay. 9-0, sorry, 9-0.
Nice.
So those are those. So
the next for that one then, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll give you points for that because you said 9 something and you said Liverpool, so that's the answer. Right, so we're almost home straight now.
Oh, for God's sake.
Most goals in a season total.
Manchester City.
Who?
100.
No, sorry. This is player stats now. The player.
Oh, players.
Yeah, the player with the most goals, Premier League goals in a season.
Erling Haaland.
How many? Do you know?
In
Premier League.
Premier League.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't.
50 is total. It's 36, which is pretty good. Right. Yeah. So then there is. I thought I'd add this one in because it kind of goes to our banter, should we say? Let's have the same one, but let's have the most non-penalty goals in a season.
Couldn't possibly tell you. Wayne Rooney.
There's 2 people joined on 31 for that one. Wayne Rooney is not one of them. No.
Nope. Is he not?
No.
Oh.
One was in the 2017-18 season, and the other one was in the 13-14 season.
Diego Costa?
No. There'll be a reason. Let me give you another clue. There'll be a reason why I am in particular asking this, especially with this non-penalty goals thing.
Oh, is it Michael Owen?
No. 2017-18 and 2013-14.
Mo Salah?
Yep.
And Mo Salah?
No. The other one is also Liverpool.
He's also a Liverpool player. Mm-hmm. Is Mo Salah the 2016
Mo Salah's 17-18 for Salah. Yeah, so this is a 13-14. Doesn't play for us anymore. You've actually mentioned him in this. It's Suarez. There you go. Nice. And then finally,
most of those should have been offside because of his teeth. Let's be fair.
Right. They didn't have VAR back then, so they couldn't possibly have used that.
Changed it to the tooth rule for him.
So now
good striker.
Very good. So now we're going to go on to Premier League transfers to finish. This is Premier League players, not just English players, Premier League players. However, we have adjusted the price for inflation.
Oh, tell it like it is, Gavin.
We're going to go with the top 5.
Yep.
And I want you to. I'm not going to ask you to name all 5 because that's knowledge.
God,
that'd be knowledge. But I want you to guess a couple, and I'll tell you whether they are or not, and we'll discuss the ones that are.
What? So this is the whole time from 1992 to today, yeah?
Correct.
Right. So and adjusted for inflation as well.
Yes.
Rio Ferdinand.
He came in number 2. He was number 2.
I thought he would.
His original fee from Leeds to United in 2002 was £29 million. Adjusted for inflation for today, that is 198.7 million. 198.
Oh.
That's almost...
We're killing the game.
So you got one. There you go. First one straight in there.
Oh,
let's have another one.
Sorry, how much was he with inflation?
He was 29 originally, with inflation 198.
Okay, so none of the does this include like recent players with inflation as well, or does it sort of but they wouldn't have inflated that much?
Correct.
So theoretically, then all of these players are from back in the day.
I'm just looking at one now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's the 10th place. The 10th spot is 2016 to 17. That was Paul Pogba. When he got bought by United for 93.3 million. That just for inflation is 165. There's no one in the top 5 or in the top 10 closer to today than that.
So these are all like proper legacy players. Oh, I don't know. So I've got Ferdinand. Rooney?
Rooney is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He's on 5 because he was 30 or 40 million from Everton
at
the time.
25.5 million.
Really? That
at the
low?
time. 177 now. You see why I did this? Any other suggestions? So that was 5th. You got 2nd and 5th.
Okay. So I'm just going Manchester United now. So Andy Cole.
No. He didn't make the list.
Okay.
He hasn't made the top 10.
Teddy Sheringham.
No, but you're close.
I'm close with Teddy Sheringham. Close with Teddy Sheringham.
Not because of Man United. I'm talking about a player at that time. Similar start to the name.
Alan Shearer.
Alan Shearer.
Not who you is that who you're talking about?
Alan Shearer. 96-97 season, number 4 on the list.
Is this his Blackburn transfer?
Blackburn to Newcastle. 15 million. Adjusted for inflation, 178 million.
Dang.
Money was spent back then.
Hey, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Not until the evil people from the East came over and started spending money. There was nothing happening until then. You're not proving anything with your facts.
You got 2nd, 4th, and 5th right now.
Okay, I can't think of anyone else.
I'll give you the rest if you want, because they're interesting talking points.
Yeah, go
on. You had 2nd, 4th, and 5th. Special mention. 8th place, Sergio Aguero. 2011, 38 million. That's 166 million in today's pennies. So you didn't have.
Wait, so is no one like Yaya Toure or David Silva on this list?
Not in the top 10.
Really? Because I thought we would have spent around about the same we spent on Aguero at the time.
I'd not coming up on the list. Maybe 11th, 12th. I haven't expanded the list yet.
Maybe there's not in top 10. That's fine.
So I'll search for them specifically in a second. So you've got 2nd, 4th, 5th. 3rd place, Fernando Torres.
Ooh, 50 million to Chelsea, wasn't it?
Yeah, from Liverpool. Yep. 181.5 million pounds. The most expensive player in Premier League history, adjusted for inflation. Andrei Shevchenko.
Really?
To Chelsea in 2006. He went for a sum of 30.8 million at the time, adjusted 215.5 million pounds.
Whoa. Ends with me in that day.
Oh my goodness. So you're asking about Toure, right?
Yeah.
So you got Yaya Toure, 2010, 2011, original fee 25.1 million, adjusted for inflation 91.1. So under 100 million, so nowhere near the 160 odd for the top 10. Wow. Colo Toure a year before was 16 million, that comes out at 69 million. So yeah. Not much at all. But yeah, I found that very, very interesting reading.
I've always wanted to do that. Because I've always thought about this, in that people seem to think that football was killed, for example, when Chelsea got their oil baron money from Russia and that. And the influx of money from the Middle East is killing the sport. And everyone has this sort of Puritan attitude towards it, as if back then it was just what Doris the Tea Lady and the program seller, that's what made us our millions. And yeah, football teams have had the facility and have spent this incredible amount of money, and people I think dilute the argument by going, yeah, but we only spent 20 million for him. But what 20 million got you back then is this now.
I do hear what you're saying. I think part of it came from Abramovich's millions. They were the first team to buy the league, and when you look at that,
they were the first team to buy the league, sir. Blackburn.
you look at this top 10, and of the top 10, because we've only looked at the top 5, right? The top 10, you got Shevchenko, Fernando Torres, Michael Essien for 171 adjusted, and Didier Drogba, 166 million adjusted.
Also,
they got four, for almost half of the top 10 went to Chelsea during Abramovich's reign. Whereas City, who have you got in there? Sergio Aguero. That's it.
Yeah.
Just Aguero is the only one that made the top 10. United, Ferdinand, Rooney, Veron, Pogba. They've got just as many as Chelsea in that. So, but the thing is, though, United have had that income revenue for so many years that they were spending the money they had, whereas Chelsea were given that money by Abramovich overnight to do all that.
Yeah, but one man's investment is another man's savings. I mean, I was saying before, with those teams down the bottom of the Premier League and that they're not allowed to invest anymore, I think it's a terrible shame that teams can't, because it creates this thing where people can't develop. Like people talk about how it's boring now that Man City win everything. It was boring when United won everything. It was boring when Chelsea were winning everything, when they had their period of dominance, It
was boring when Liverpool were winning everything back in
I'm sure it was back in the 70s and 80s. I'm sure it was, And yeah, you got to. I think context is important. Knowledge is important. Actually learning this stuff, but that was dead cool. I was super cool. I was just stopping myself from going on some sort of rant again. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool quiz. I like that.
I told you what, it's not a difficult one, but it's interesting topics.
Set me up. You didn't completely set me up. I appreciate that.
No. Maybe we can do more of those type of questions going on so we remember. So I quite fancy doing the ones from before the Premier League as well, so we can still remember these players, these great players that Shearer didn't win much, of course, in his year, but in his life, but he played a lot before the Premier League.
I mean, in terms of like top players and stuff, because obviously City weren't in and around the league very often during this period, I really took a shine to Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
And thought he was just a magnificent player to watch. I wonder where he is on your inflation list.
Let me find out.
If I remember correctly, he was not very expensive for Arsenal.
So Thierry Henry, Arsenal, 2000, 99 2000. It was 99 2000. His original fee was 10.6 million, adjusted for inflation, 103.
That's a bargain for him nowadays, isn't it?
Oh, could you imagine if today you could buy that Thierry Henry for 100 million?
You'd be biting people's hands off.
Yeah,
selling the oil. That's pretty cool, man. I like that. Should we put a pin in it there and say successful episode?
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Pins in. Thank you. Don't ruin my flow this time.
Well, before you start your flow, then don't forget, no update on Atletico Orlando this week because it's a bye week. We didn't play this weekend. It has been confirmed, however, that Nona, with them winning this weekend, they are definitely going to win regular season. Next weekend, we'll then have the final update of the season and maybe an update on where we're going to be with the playoffs.
Cool. And we look forward to hearing about that. Because, they're the official team of Do You Know The Score podcast.
There you go.
They are.
Right, flow away.
Oh, you son of... You do it.
No, I'm good.
I'm going to mute my mic and you can do it.
No, you're good. Go for it.
Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for watching it on YouTube. Please follow us on all the social medias at Do You Know The Score, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, but not Twitter, not X. As they say in Jurassic Park. Great line from it. Do email the show if you want to. Do you know the score at gmail.com with your thoughts, your feelings. We will maybe read them out. Maybe we'll generate some debate. Maybe it will generate some segments for us. Who knows? If not, we'll just keep being these creative masterminds and coming up with it on our own. It's up to you. But thank you so much. If you could like, share, subscribe, click the bell, do all that sort of stuff. Tell your friends, share our Facebook posts, share our Instagram posts, let people know that we're around. That would be so amazing and very much appreciative. I've been Jordan. Thank you very much for listening.
I've been Gavin. Also, thank you very much.
There we go. And we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
I love your sign off of bye. It's so sexy. Like
started
bum.
I'm doing it every time now. I noticed after about the 4th, 5th time, I really do that every single time. Now I'm just leaning into it.
I've noticed you've been doing it, which is why I leave it open for you.
Oh my goodness.
Bye.